Alrighty, I think we are live. Welcome back to another round stream. So we're joined by Nathan. So we'll be basically doing the same things we did last week. As we said, both of us have a bit more time on our hands at the moment, so we decided to give this a go. I know there's a few of you who have purchased a box break or a spot in the box break. This time we are doing a team coach box break. So hopefully that's a bit of fun as we go through and discuss the rounds games. And then once it hits like 6:20 when the teams come out, and once this box break is finished, we will pivot over to the teams, and we'll have a quick chat about the teams and kind of the trades for this week. Apologies a little bit late just because we had a few technical difficulties. This app isn't really agreeing with either of us, I think, so hopefully this will work well. Please let us know if you have any issues hearing us throughout the stream. Just please let us know so we're able to adjust it accordingly. But as I said, for those of you who have purchased a spot in the box break, thank you so much. As I said, with the select one, I sent those out on Friday. So hopefully you either soon receive them or will be receiving them soon. But we'll discuss that at the end of the stream as well. But first of all, to kick things off whilst I get this set up, Nathan, how's your week been? And obviously you're looking forward to Collingwood Geelong tomorrow night.
I wouldn't say I'm looking forward to it, but it's been a very busy week. But I'm glad that my week is over as of 5 p.m. tonight, which is about 41 minutes ago. So I can just kick back for the rest of the week and just relax and watch the footy as it unfolds.
Yeah, it's fair enough. It's understandable. I guess, long week, and hopefully the footy treats us nicely. But first of all, obviously, with the round being tomorrow night, Collingwood Geelong, big game. You're obviously going. I think I'm actually heading up as well. What are your thoughts on this game, and can you give a little bit of a preview, considering you know these two teams quite well?
Yeah, so obviously Collingwood are quite injury hit at the minute. Unfortunately, Brody Mycheck's done for the year with that pec injury. And we're not sure about what Jamie Elliott's chances are, or I think there was someone else who was sort of on the fringe. They weren't sure if they were going to be back this week. So hopefully for Collingwood, it strengthens their side so they can get a few players back. But unfortunately, with Collingwood at the minute, it just seems to sort of be one man comes in and then another one goes out. So they can't really get any continuity. And as for Geelong, well, we discussed this last week, but the centre bounce defender, or the CBD, as it's been classified by Champion Gardeners, Daniel Hoyne.
Yeah.
Tom Stewart has done that role the last 2 weeks and done very well. So, but I'm going to actually look at some of the sides a little bit differently. So, for those of you out there who are perhaps a little bit time poor, AFL.
Whoop, I think we lost Nathan there for a minute. We'll stop the stream for a second just whilst I sort this out. We'll be back in 2 minutes. I think we're good to go. Yeah, so obviously we were talking about Collingwood Geelong whilst I rip open this first pack. Who do you think are the key players, I think, or the key pillars for that game to be successful?
Yeah, so obviously for Collingwood, they've got to somehow. I think this game's going to be won by either Collingwood's defensive line or Geelong's forward line. So if Collingwood's defensive line can contain Geelong's forward line, I think Collingwood will win the game.
Yeah.
If Geelong's forward line can get a hold of this Collingwood defence, which is very shaky at the minute, safe to say, then Geelong, I think, will kick a big enough score to win. But just before I decided to stop at the stream, so for the contending teams, so Lee Montagna went through this last night, so I don't want to sort of repeat over it, but basically, there are 5 key stats that all of the last 10 premiers have ranked in the top 60. So when we're talking about these sides that are still in contention, I will simply just refer to how many times they're in the top 6 for each of those 5 stats. So Collingwood are not in the top 6 for any of these 5 key stats, and Geelong are only there for one of them. So at the minute, both of these sides, I don't think can win the premiership. Now, I know we've still got 7 weeks to go, but if you're looking for one of these two sides to sort of push up and perhaps be a contender, it's probably not likely to be one of these two. But in saying that, I think for TeamCoach, it might be a great opportunity to get some players sort of having a look at. So obviously Nick Taycos probably will do well. For those of you who've got Jeremy Cameron, I know a lot of people have probably jumped off him, but he doesn't mind playing against Collingwood.
Yeah.
So if you've got him, I wouldn't be the worst thing to have a look at him, perhaps even as a sneaky vice captain option. And then also those Geelong ball users like Duncan and what's his name? The other little forward guy, I forgot his name. With the dreadlocks.
Oh, Myers.
Yeah, Myers, that's it.
Yeah.
If you've got those guys, perhaps they're even a good look. Because if Collingwood defend the way that they did last Friday night against Essendon, well, those two especially, they're such elite kicks of the football that they're just going to pierce through that Collingwood defence and they're just going to score for fun. So I will be tipping, so 3 teams coming out, I will be tipping Geelong because I don't know who's actually going to play for Collingwood. And I feel like right now, I think Geelong is sort of starting to sort of get back to where they were earlier in the year, whereas I think Collingwood are fading away.
Yeah.
So at this stage, I will be tipping Geelong, but I will reserve the right to change my tip if I think the ins for Collingwood can significantly alter what they're doing at the minute.
Yeah, that's understandable. I mean, Collingwood's their game to lose, really. Geelong have stepped it up last couple, obviously, but I think it'll be a tight game, that's for sure. Moving on to the next game of the round, let me just pull it up quickly. Hawthorn versus Freo, that's in Tassie. First of all, I think the first question I have for you, do you think Freo the real deal, or do you think they're in a similar situation to Gold Coast in the fact they literally can't play anywhere else other than Optus?
Well, the numbers in front of me here, I wish I could share my screen for this, but the numbers in front of me say that they are the real deal.
Yeah.
So again, referring back to that table, they are in the top 6 in 3 of those 5 stats, and the other 2 stats they are both 7th in. So they are coming, and they are coming with the rush. If you had to give me a third team right now, it would be Fremantle. Just purely because they've always been defensively really strong.
Yeah.
But now they've added this ball movement game, which has come with a rush. And this is the one thing that was missing from them for basically the last 2 years, was this ability to move the football from the back half into their forward half of the ground.
Yeah.
It was just this slow, soggy, skip mark game. But the last sort of 6 to 8 weeks, they have really turned that around, and they're sort of going a little bit. They're going a little bit more efficiently from their back half, which again is where the premiership sides do their damage from. It's from back half.
Yeah.
So I think Fremantle should be winning this game. The only reason why I don't think Fremantle can win this game is purely because of the venue
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that Hawthorn play this venue probably better than they play the MCG, given that it is a very long ground, it's a very wide ground, and Hawthorn play, 4 games a year there, so
Yeah.
they're used to the extra width. I'm just not sure how Fremantle are going to go with defending that ground. But in saying that, I will still tip Fremantle because I think they are probably slightly ahead of Hawthorn.
Yeah, that's understandable. I think.
Probably, and
Yeah, what were you gonna say?
if I can interrupt, probably for super coaches, probably not really relevant for this game. I don't think I'd be VCing Sarong or Brayshaw or Will Day or Sicily, or if you've got any of them, I don't think I would be going down that path, just because I think this could be a really sort of grind of a game, given it's in Tassie, quite cold down there normally. So I don't think that's going to be for Hurl.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you there. I think it's Freo has to win this game to be a genuine consideration of finals and the consolidation of that top 4 position. But I think the battle will be won really in the midfield, realistically, because Freo's got a pretty dominant midfield. That's how they've been winning games. Hawthorn can probably match them in the midfield to some degree or try and nullify their presence because Freo's forward line isn't the strongest, I think, and defensively speaking, they're pretty strong. So I think whoever wins that midfield battle is going to win the day, essentially. But moving forward to the next game, so I know Corzo, and he's listening to this stream, he's purchased a box break for North, but the Swans in the North game at the SCG, do you reckon Swannies are a chance to go 0-3, or they've got this wrapped up?
So yes, they are a chance to go 3 losses in a row. Will it happen? Probably not.
Yeah.
I don't think North Melbourne are quite in the same league as us.
Yeah.
So again, I'll refer back to what was said last night. So Sydney currently are in the top 5 in the top 6 in all 5 of those premiership stats.
Yeah.
However, there has been a little bit of a drop off from Sydney just sort of over the last 6 or so weeks, which is, it might be a blip, because the only reason I say that is because I know for a fact that being a Collingwood supporter, that Collingwood did fall away about this stage last year. Now, they did regather and obviously win the premiership last year. The only thing that's going to count against Sydney with that is the fact that the grand final is not going to be played at the SCG.
Yeah.
Collingwood always had that advantage where they knew that if they won that first final, then their remaining finals were going to be at the MCG. And boy, were they a struggle, those 3 finals, even if they won all 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Sydney still are number 1, but I think sides are sort of starting to work them out tactically in sort of how to maybe not stop Sydney, but more so how they want to play and just sort of minimise how they want to actually move the ball
Yeah.
and whatnot. I think some sides have caught on to that. In saying all of that, though, even if Isaac Heaney misses, which I am following this appeal as we're speaking live.
How is that going? I haven't actually got it up on screen, but what is it kind of leaning towards?
So right now, I'm going off Fox 3. So right now, Sydney are arguing that the decision made was unreasonable and that no tribunal could have come to that determination.
Yeah.
And the classification of the offence was manifestly excessive. But I don't think they're going to, from what I'm reading here, I don't think they've got a clear argument on what they're actually trying to get out of this.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think they're trying to rehash what was already presented last night or on Tuesday night. And the appeals board, so for those of you who aren't aware, basically the tribunals where you present all your evidence for the case, the appeals board more looks at, it doesn't look at new evidence, it just basically looks at whether or not proper process was followed, whether or not the decision the tribunal made was reasonable in the circumstances. So the idea of this is that you shouldn't be arguing anything new, but rather you should be arguing that the tribunal made an error in how they came to the decision that they did. Which Sydney don't appear to be doing that at the minute. They appear to be trying to say that basically they're trying to argue what they argued on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
And sort of not getting them anywhere. So at this stage, I can't see him getting off based on what's being presented to the appeals board. But in saying that, this is obviously his last chance. So you would think that Sydney are going to go all out to try and get him off. But I just don't see how they're going to successfully argue that the tribunal made an error of law or the classification of that offence was manifestly excessive.
Mm-hmm.
Based on the evidence that they presented on Tuesday night and the sort of points that they're trying to argue about it. Because, yeah, as I said, they're trying to argue that the action was, but the tribunal already decided that it wasn't. And that's not really the point of the appeals board. The appeals board's more looking at, well, how did they come to the conclusion that it was an intentional act? And did the tribunal make an error in determining that was an intentional act? That's more the idea of this. You don't sort of say, well, it wasn't intentional because he didn't show someone. That's your job at the tribunal. So I can't see him getting off based on what Sydney are going with at the minute, but it will be a follow along. It probably won't be finished till about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Because these appeal boards, they can go for hours and hours.
Yeah.
It is the final appeal for any player. Because the only other option to go from here is into the Victorian courts, which I don't think you can do that anymore.
Yeah.
So this is basically it. So we probably won't have an answer for you at the end of the stream whether or not he's off or not, unless the tribunal determines he's not okay, and then it'll just get thrown out.
Yeah.
I think is probably the most likely case to happen here. But normally with these appeals, the longer it goes, the more likely they are to get off.
Yeah.
If it's a very short turnaround, it's probably not likely. So I would say that, yeah, if it's done by 7 o'clock, he's probably not going to get off. So my hunch is that I don't think he's going to get off. And I'm going to assume that Sydney are playing without him this weekend. So in saying all of that, I still think Sydney will win.
Yeah.
To win this game.
Oh yeah, I think they've got to restore some credentials, but I guess the flip side of that is got North has got nothing to lose. They can play with a lot of freedom and try their best, and their supporters aren't really going to be too disappointed or disheartened, regardless.
Yeah, and North Melbourne don't actually have a bad record against Sydney. They haven't won a lot, but they haven't been blown out of the water. I think in their last 6 matches, I think the biggest losing margin's been about 30 points, and I think 4 of the 6 have been decided by less than 20 points. So this isn't a game that I would be saying Sydney should win by 10 goals.
Yeah.
But I think for Sydney, I think it's just more about getting back together and just going again.
Yeah, it would be. They really just need to rubber stamp their credentials as the best team in the comp. But I guess moving forward to the next game, that Saturday twilight game, I think Nathan's just his stream's crashed or crashing again. Here we go.
Sorry, I pushed the wrong button.
Yeah. No, all good. Next game, Dogs versus the Blues under the roof at Marvel. I guess this is quite an important game for both teams. Sorry, especially the Dogs, who are very inconsistent. Blues looked a shadow of their former self in the previous a week against GWS. What are your thoughts on this game? And do you reckon the Dogs could upset the Blues down at Marvel, or do you think the Kerno and Mackay show are going to be too strong?
Well, I mean, for the Dogs, this is almost a must-win game for the Bulldogs, to be honest with you. Given that they are playing the Geelong in Geelong and Sydney and Melbourne in the next 3 matches.
Yeah.
You would say if they're any chance to making finals, they need to win this game. So that much is simple.
Yeah.
For 3 teams, I will be tipping Houston. Because I don't know if Liam Jones gets up, I might see the change into the Dogs. But going off, so again, these 2 sides again are on the table. So Western Bulldogs rank top 6 in 3 of the 5 stats. And Carlton rank top 6 in 2 of the stats. So, the numbers say the Bulldogs should be winning this game. Realistically, the form guide, the statistical profile says the Dogs should be winning. But there's no way on earth that I could sit here now and confidently say that the Bulldogs are going to win on Saturday. I can say that about Carlton because I think they've proven that they're probably the second best side, despite this statistical profile not being the best. But I think that just shows how even the league is this year. In the Carlton, historically, one of their stats, so points against.
Yeah.
They're bottom 4, and only 2 sides in the last 30 years have been in the bottom 4 for points against and actually made the finals. And yet, Carlton, in most people's eyes, are the second best side in the league, or the second seed behind Sydney. So, I think that's just an anomaly. Because if you dig a little bit deeper in the points against, they're number 1 for points against from turnover, which is the stat you want to be number 1 in.
Yeah.
Then they're the second easiest side to score against in stoppage. So last week the Giants basically won that game from stoppage. They didn't win it off turnover. They won it from stoppage.
Yeah. And
I know Collingwood, when they played Carlton earlier in the year, they got them at stoppage as well, and that's why Collingwood beat Carlton. So, in saying that, I still think Carlton will win, but I think if the Bulldogs bring their stoppage game and Liam Jones is back in, I do think the Dogs can cause Carlton some issues.
Yeah.
Especially if they haven't gone to work with this weekly stoppage defence. But I think based on trust, you've just got to trust that Carlton are probably more likely to win than the Dogs. But I would not be surprised at all if the Dogs won this game.
Yeah, no, I could see them have an upset down at Marvel. It's a smaller ground. It suits the Dogs, kind of kamikaze style attack. But I can also see on the flip side, Colonel and Mackay having a day out. Moving forward to the evening games, my mob's playing in the 7:30 time slot. We'll kick it off though with Melbourne versus the Dons. Eston obviously had that upset win against, or not upset depending on how you look at it, that win against your mob, and the D's have looked less than convincing for a best portion of a month. What are your thoughts on this game, and who are you tipping? Is it Gorney back to his best? Oh, Gorney's not playing this game. I don't think he's injured. But do you think? Well, having said that now, but do you reckon Eston are going to capitalise in the ruck and really dominate that midfield now? Gorney's not there.
Well, I think we're going to see the real Melbourne now.
Yeah.
And purely from a sense that they've had the best ruckman, bar none, for about the last 4 years in the comp. So a lot of work done at stoppage is actually tactical.
Yeah.
And because Melbourne know that Matt Vaughan is basically going to just about win, or he's going to basically have control of the ruck contest, it means that tactically Melbourne can always get on the front foot from stoppage, which means that they're always looking to come at the front of stoppage. Now, without Max Vaughan there, I don't know if they're going to be able to do that, given that they're probably going to have the inferior ruckman, given that Essendon are probably going to have Draper, and they might have Goldstein. I'd be surprised if they didn't put him. I think one ruck with Draper worked really well last week. So I don't think Melbourne can be as aggressive as they are normally from stopping, because I think if they do that, I think Essendon are just going to get out the front from stoppage, and they're just going to basically waltz the ball into open goals.
Yeah.
So I think the loss of Gawn is he's probably the one player who Melbourne couldn't lose, to be honest with you, because of the way that they play. And the fact they probably don't have another A-grade ruckman on their list that can do that same job. So I feel like Essendon are going to have a tendency at the stoppage game. And as we've seen with Melbourne, if you can take the stoppage game away from Melbourne and beat them in that stoppage game, they can be vulnerable in a game that they don't like necessarily engaging in. So if Max Gorn, this is how big this is. If Max Gorn was playing, I was actually going to tip Melbourne in this game, because I felt like that the way Melbourne play would trouble Essendon. But now that Max Gorn's not there, I think that one magnet has swung, and it's purely because I don't know how Melbourne are going to do in the stoppage situation.
Yeah.
And also they're missing essentially their Dustin Munn, Don DeGoey, type player in Christian Petrarca, who they can cover, but I don't think they can cover Max Gawn. So I will be tipping Essendon purely based off the fact that Max Gawn is playing.
Yeah.
I think this game is as close as 50-50 as you can get. I still wouldn't be surprised if Melbourne won this game.
Yeah.
But I think Essendon will win, just purely based on that. Again, just going off my 5-stat profile, so Essendon are only top 6 in one of them, and Melbourne aren't even on the list. So I don't think they consider Melbourne to be a contender.
Yeah.
Which is probably a bit of a slap in the face. But yeah, Essendon are only top 6 in one of these stats. So I don't think Essendon can win the flag, but I think they should probably deserve to be favoured in a Max Gawnless Melbourne side.
Yeah, 100%. It'll be definitely a good game to watch. Before we open this pack up, the second game of Saturday night, obviously St Kilda, my boys versus the Crows. I was pretty obviously happy last Sunday with their upset win against the Swans. Do you reckon the Saints can back it up against the Crows without no Rankin. I know it's at Adelaide Oval, but what are your thoughts on that matchup, considering St Kilda would want, I mean, as a supporter, I'd want the boys to show their dominance again, or their kind of ability to play consistently, but do you reckon the Crows can bounce back in front of their home crowd?
So, I will just interrupt. So, Sydney have concluded their argument with the Isaac Heaney case, and it's not a very good argument.
Yeah.
I don't think, based on their argument, I don't think he's any chance of getting off. So,
Yeah.
Unless there's more information to come on that, I would assume that the appeals board will be deliberating, and it'll be a very, very quick decision, which means that I think Heaney will be missing this week.
And there goes the Brownlow.
But anyway, back to the game.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the game. Oh, look, I don't know how you can trust either of these two sides at the minute.
Yeah.
I think Adelaide, again, this might be a purely just tip Adelaide because it's at Adelaide Oval.
Yeah.
And I think St Kilda, to be honest with you, I think St Kilda might have played their grand final last weekend against Sydney. So I wouldn't be surprised if St Kilda had a flat one. Historically, they don't do too well at Adelaide Oval, I don't think. I think they lost by about 60 points to Adelaide there last year. So I will be tipping Adelaide for this game purely because it's in Adelaide. I've got no other reason to tip Adelaide.
Yeah. That is fair enough. I think, our boys, I know we didn't do too well in Adelaide, but I know in our COVID year when we made the grand final, not the grand final, what am I talking about? The final series in 2020, we did do consecutive wins in Adelaide Oval, so I guess it's really dependent on how we travel, and if we're slow starters in Adelaide Oval, I could see Adelaide running all over us, but I think the big out is Isaac Rankin. He was a barometer for the Crows, and I think without him, they're going to struggle. Before we move on to the Sunday games that we just finished off, we can open these packs. Not a bad lot for a few. I know from the top of my head, I don't have a list on me, but I know Causa, great man, is supported the channel as well as a lot of other Supercoach communities. I know he bought into the North GWS one. I know Peter, her son, is hopefully watching Jay. He bought into Dogs. She bought the Dogs one. There's a couple I've just forgotten off the top of my head, but just to go through the hits or the inserts, that we got. Starting off with the star power. So these will all go out. Obviously, there's codes on the back of some of them. For those of you who are playing the games or whatnot, those will be unused, obviously, when they get sent out. So you can feel free to use them, whatever you feel like. So just the star powers hit. So you got Sarong, Walker, Zaki Butters. I know someone bought the Port Adelaide ones, so that's not a bad pull. Doherty, Lockie Ash, Dane Zorko, Dusty Martin, Star Powers Bont, which is not a bad pull. Jacob Van Rooyen, Nick Martin, Brad Crouch, Noah Anderson, and that's that. And then the card craft based ones that you need to collect, I think it's all 4, and then you get the gold one, whatever it's called. Six Dogs, so James Sicily, Paddy Cripps, Jack Steele, Scott Pendlebury, and then Josh Kelly for that one. The gold pulls we got, let me just get it up there. Adam Saab from the Blues, Christian Salem from the D's, the Gov man, hopefully he plays this weekend for my Supercoach side. Jack Higgins, Nick Dacos, and that's that. The odd bods, just going quickly onto there. Kerno, Jamari Eagle-Hagan, that's not a bad one. And Tommy Papley, a couple other card crafts I've got here, I've just forgotten. Alex Pearce, Cause to be happy with Nick Larkey, the big forward for North, and the bigger hits there. So starting off with a magic wildcard of Nick Blakey. The team wildcard one, which is the Gold Coast Suns. You got Tom Emmett, from the rookie wildcard. The fantasy one, which I think Causa bought the GWS and North packets, so be happy with the Tom Green fantasy. I'll leave that there for you. Harris Andrews BNF, Jordan Dawson BNF, Zachy Butters BNF, Gold Christian Petrarca BNF, Tim Kelly BNF, and that's all she wrote. So hopefully there's some decent pulls for you. Those will hopefully get posted tomorrow. Fingers crossed I can get that all done in the morning because I've got quite a busy day ahead of me. But hopefully they'll all come out. Please let us know if you do have any issues, because what I normally do with these cards is send them in lettered postage with some bubble wrap so it protects them in some sleeves and stuff like that. So hopefully they come to you in one piece. But yeah, hopefully I know that a few of you received just let cards last week, and all happy with that, which was nice to see. So hopefully you have enjoyed that so far. So just moving on to the Sunday games, what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick breather for a minute whilst I bring up the AFL website in preparation for the team news. Let me just set that up in a minute. Alrighty, let me just get this up. Alright, just in a minute we're going to set this up whilst we do that. Hopefully you guys can see the teams there. Okay, hopefully you guys can see the teams there, and that's actually scrolling down as we go down. But moving on to Sunday's game, Gold Coast and Port. What are your thoughts on this one, Nate? Obviously both teams are shaky away from home. Port definitely haven't been the best of sides at the best of times, and Suns basically can't win away from home. What are your thoughts on that one there?
Well, I'll say it again that Gold Coast are a top 6 side at home and they're a bottom 6 side away. So the fact that they're a top 6 side at home and the fact that Port Adelaide tend to struggle against top 6 sides,
Yeah.
means that I will be going with the Gold Coast Suns for this game. Purely because it's on the Gold Coast. I don't have any other reason other than tipping the Suns because it's on the Gold Coast.
Yeah, I think if it was Adelaide Oval, you'd 110% tip power, but I think, the Suns might struggle in that situation. But moving on to the next game of the round, which is, let me just pop it open, which is Richmond GWS. To be fair, I could probably see the Tigers doing some damage here if they start fast. GWS obviously look very good against Port, but they have been known to be really slow starters and struggle to get scoring potential going. What are your thoughts on that game there? And is there any chance that Richmond could get a surprise win at the G?
To put it bluntly, no, I don't think they can win this game, Richmond.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that person, but I think a lot would need to go right for Richmond to win this game. I think that they need to somehow contain the Giants forward line, which is probably not going to be easy. But I will say if they can contain the Giants run and gun game, then that's when the Giants have looked vulnerable. As I said, last week was an anomaly with Carlton because they did all their damage mostly from stoppage. It wasn't actually the run and gun stuff. There was aspects of it. So Richmond this year haven't been too bad in the stoppage game. But in saying that, again, if the Giants are the real deal, they need to win this game, and I think they will win this game.
Yeah, I could see them convincingly winning the last one, which will be a bit of a farewell to Adam Simpson. West Coast Brizzy, obviously there is that weird statistic that not West Coast coaches, they get sacked the next game they play, they win. What are your thoughts on this one, and is there a fair chance that Brizzy might actually slip this one up, considering this is a farewell game, and a lot of the players have bought into Simo's culture and the way they played? Obviously they won the 2018 Premiership. But what are your thoughts on this one, and do you think there is a chance that West Coast might scrape an upset?
Yes, I don't neither mind you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Thomas. Look, I really want to tip West Coast, and I know that sides get up when they lose their coach. I don't know what it is, but it seems to just inspire everyone to do well.
Yeah.
I know it happened with North Melbourne when they lost David Noble. They played Richmond, who were flying, and they beat them at Marvel the following week. So, I mean, look, this could not be worse timing for Brisbane, given that they're on a roll. They're probably looking like being probably the fourth best side in it, behind Sydney and Carlton and Fremantle.
Yeah.
And to get West Coast in these circumstances at Optus Stadium is probably just about the worst possible matchup for Brisbane to have, because they just need to keep winning.
Yeah.
Because if they don't win, they're going to probably fall out of the 8. Although in saying that, only Collingwood and Melbourne can actually knock them out this week, and I'm not tipping both of those sides at this stage. I know the teams are probably out, considering it's 6:23.
Yeah.
So I don't know who's in and out. So I will be tipping Brisbane, but again, given what's gone on at West Coast this week, I think that if there's any game where I think West Coast are going to beat one of those sort of contending sides, it's going to be this week with everything that's gone on. I think they will play for Simo. I know he won't be there in the box, but he'll still be there in spirit.
Yeah.
And I think that might inspire them, but I think Brisbane are a bit mature and a bit classy for West Coast. So I will tip Brisbane. But, obviously, just shout out to Simo. Great coach, 11 years, hard job. Obviously, reached the ultimate success in 2018. Been under a lot of pressure for the last probably 3 or so years. Probably come at the right time for both club and coach to make the decision.
Yeah.
the players get sort of 6 or 7 weeks with the new boys, and then they can just relaunch again next year.
Mm-hmm.
So but I will be tipping Brisbane.
Yeah, fair enough. I think the Lions get it done. They've definitely showed the ability to dominate teams quite quickly and yeah, going back to their more grand final-esque performances. I think the teams have been released, so hopefully this screen works to show. I'll just refresh it in a minute. Under phone, I've got notifications saying I think it was lineups out. But looking at the team list here, you got Johnny Noble, Jamie Elliott, Reef McInnes in, out, Dean omitted, Howes injured, Marchek injured. That could be interesting, obviously, with Jeremy Howe and Mychek, Nath. Hopefully that doesn't spell too many problems for you. Interesting one, Supercoach-wise, if you see that full-back position, Sam DeConning, obviously Mark Blitzubs as well in the ruck, so it could be interesting to see. DeConning's one I'm genuinely thinking about trading in because he's showed as a sole ruck. He can dominate similar to how his brother's been dominating at Carlton. So it'll be definitely interesting to see how he goes in that regards and if he can maintain that sole ruck position. I know it says he's fullback at the moment, but with Mark Blitzubs in the ruck, that's not the case. It's basically DeConning rucking by himself. So it'd be interesting how he goes against Darcy Cameron. It's a very favourable matchup for him. So he's one that I'm thinking of, especially if McGovern hasn't been named yet. I'm trying to avoid looking at my phone because I know a couple group chats are popping off with regards to team news. But I'm just going to move over to the next game of the round, which is Hawks and Freo. Lineups there. Sicily's in, Ward's in, Kalshiades, that's pretty stacked standard. Lewis Gunston being injured and managed, Seamus Mitchell omitted, Patrick Voss, Sean Darcy, that's a big one. So if you've got Luke Jackson in Supercoach, very solid R1, sorry, not R1, playing as a ruck swing into your ruck line from the forward line because Sean Darcy's unit is pretty much not guaranteed, but a fair chance to get 100 in Supercoach. Next game, let's move forward to the Swannies versus North. This is a big one because obviously Isaac Heaney, I'm assuming, didn't get. He's named. Has he got offer yet, or they haven't made a decision?
No, they haven't made the decision yet, but I'd be excited if he got off based on what's been presented.
Yeah, so based on that, Callum Mills is in. That's a massive in for the Swans. I think he's well needed for that defensive ability. As Nathan rightly pointed out, there's a fair chance that Heaney won't make the cut. So if that's the case, I could see probably Luke Parker get in. If that's the case, or Wicks going back into the best 22. George Wardlaw back in, Will Phillips out. So for taggers, tagging situations, I think that's quite handy for the Swans because Will Phillips has been a tagger. Just looking at the side now, there is no Zach Fisher. That's the big call that I think a lot of Supercoach were hoping to. Big news for Colin McKercher though, because I don't think he's going to get tagged. Correct me if I'm wrong, Nath, but I believe, or correct me if you think differently, but I think Sheasel's going to be the one that James Jordan does put attention to. I think Colby McKercher's got, So I think Colby McKercher's got, exactly. So I think McKercher's got that role locked up in halfback, which is handy for me because I brought him in last week for a big score. But yeah, Fisher hasn't been named.
I think Mills will go to LDU.
Yeah, I could see that as well. Yeah, 100%. LU could be in for a bit of a rough night or rough afternoon. But yeah, moving on to the next game, which is, we're just trying to wrap this up because I know we've gone for a little bit. But the Dogs and the Blues, this is a big one game-wise. But Cody Waiton back in, that's massive for their forward line. Caleb Poulter, James O'Donnell injured, Aaron Norton a big here though. Caleb Marchbank and Mark Pittner in. Mark Pittner named as a primary ruck, so I don't know if that's trying to nullify English's influence around the ground at stoppages. But if you were thinking of bringing Tom DeConning in, maybe look elsewhere just because.
That's big up.
Yeah, especially for draft players, I know of the like were thinking of bringing him in, but I think that probably just sums it up that it's probably not worth bringing in. He could still pop it off, who knows, based off his split ruck time, but we knew that as soon as it was split ruck between Mark Pittner and DeConning, not worthwhile at all, just because potential to, 50-50 it out. And I think they're purposely bringing in DeConning to try and nullify that that English influence. But moving on to the 7:30 games with the Crows and the Saints. It's a big one, obviously, for St Kilda. Oh, here we go. Riley Thilthorpe, of course. Riley Thilthorpe back in after his long stint of a knee issue. Hugh Bond, who's a debutant, was mentioned earlier this week. Mitch Hinge is out, which is big for potentially draft players. Nath, correct me if I'm wrong. He's a bit of a smoke. He's done very well this season. Isaac Rankin, we all knew, was suspended. In Riley Bonner and Zach Jones, there's two butchers of the balls there for you, which should be interesting. I'm surprised Hugo Garcia didn't get named, but I can see why. They might bring a bit of pace around the ball. Bradley Hill, personal reasons, I can see a like-for-like swap with Riley Bonner and Marcus Windhager. Obviously did that hamstring injury. I think if you're looking for a trade-in for this game, Sinclair's your man. Even with, James Jordan didn't really tag on the weekend. I think he's the one to really dominate for the next 7 weeks until the home stretch of finals and whatnot. For Supercoach reasons. Yeah, I think if you're Crows, you would. But I don't see who would tag him from the Crows. Potentially a Sam Berry or Ben Keys trying to put attention to him. But as I said, Sinclair's been so dominant for a good patch of 7 weeks.
I think it depends on where I think Sinclair's one of these centre-bound defensive players. So,
yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Ben Keys got given that job. He has done that job in the past where he sort of tagged the half-back flankers.
Yeah.
And tried to send them back the other way with goals.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Ben Keys got that role.
Oh, 100%. Moving swiftly forward. Harrison Petty in for, I'm assuming, for ruck cover as well. Gorney's out injured. We all knew that. It'll be interesting to see whether he's claiming he's going to be out for 1, but it could be 2 to 3. Dyson Heppel in for Laverty. That's a like for like or similar like for like. I just want to hear your opinions on Max Gawn from a classic perspective. Obviously, draft is slightly different. What are your thoughts on those who have limited trades remaining and they've got Gorney? They don't have Jackson for whatever reason, or I'm assuming a lot of people wouldn't have him, but yeah, you don't have Jackson to swing, you don't have ruck cover. Are you holding, copying a donor, or trading to the next best available? And if so, who? What are your thoughts on that one?
This is such a hard decision because you don't want to really be in this position.
Yeah.
I think if you're in the top 100, you just need to trade him out. I know it's probably a trade you don't want to do.
Yeah.
But if there's a chance there of winning the whole Supercoach, then you might just as well as go for it. I would just trade him out if you're there. If you're in an elimination final,
yeah.
I don't know if leagues start their finals yet, but they'd be a few weeks off, I would say. But if you're in a position in your league where you know you're playing finals, and you sort of are guaranteed a final spot, it'd probably be worth just holding him because a lot of people are actually going to probably move him on.
Yeah.
And you might be a bit of a point of difference.
Yeah.
And if you're in, I don't know how many teams are in leagues. I think most leagues are about 10 or 12 sides in the league. So if you're in a position where you need a trade to make finals, and you don't have bench cover, well, this is going to have to be your option. Because, again, if you're playing with mates, there's nothing better than being your mates. Especially when it comes to games and stuff. So if you need every point you can to make the finals, again, you've just got to move him on. I know it's painful, but you've got to get those points because you might come up against someone who is higher than you, who's already guaranteed finals. And if they're choosing to hold him because he's only going to miss, 2 to 3 weeks, I think is what I've heard.
Yeah.
And you're in a position where you need to win to make finals, well, you might end up with an extra 140, or you might end up with an extra, 100 points.
Yeah.
And that might be the difference between you winning your matchup and losing your matchup. So I think it's really personal how you're going and where you're sitting in your overall rank and your league position.
Yeah.
But I think for most people, the rucks, other than Gorn and Grundy, they probably haven't really been that sort of standout ones. I mean, I'm just having a look here now. On Tristan Cherry, sorry. I think you probably had to start with him, given that he was 400 odd thousand. Same with De Conning.
Mm-hmm.
The only other option is I don't know if anyone's done this, but some people might have Lloyd Meek on the bench as an R3. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Considering the fact that he was, sort of the mid 300,000s, some people might have just picked him up because they saw that he was playing. So if you've got someone on the bench in the ruck spot who's playing, and it's like a Lloyd Meek or someone like that, well, you're in the perfect spot because you can just bring them in, you can just move Gorn to the bench, and then you don't have to worry about anything we've just said. But yeah, if you have Gorn and you don't have Jackson, then you again refer to what I said earlier on. If you have got Jackson, then it's just a simple case of just moving him up into the rucks and just putting Gorn on the bench for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's understandable. I think it's a tough decision. Before we finish off the stream tonight, I'll quickly go through my Supercoach team. I know Nathan doesn't play Classic this year, but we'll have a bit of a quick discussion about that centered around because I've got Gorn and a few others injured. But moving forward to the Sunday games, we've got a lot of ins for Gold Coast. That's understandable considering how poor they've been. Obviously, these are dependent on Sunday teams being released on Saturday, but Roserson, Davies, Walter, Buderick, Lloyd Johnston. Miller's obviously out 4 to 6 with that hand injury, or 3 to 5, I think it was. Sam Dazer injured. Charlie Dixon, big in for the Port, which I think favours Port big time, considering how well they play with him. Jed McEntee could do a tagging role on a halfback. I could see him going to Sam Flanders. Dante Vicentini in the ruck is probably a sub or backup, and Will Lorenz back in. George Yard is out with that suspension. Probably based off that bench, obviously Sexton I could see keep his spot. Jed Walter, I would say. Will Graham, it's a tough one. Connor Buderick probably stays. So yeah, I'd say the sub risk would probably be Swallow and Jed Walter, probably not. So I'd say Alex Davies and David Swallow as your sub risks. Charlie Dixon probably stays. Jace Burgoyne stays. Lockie Jones, Quinton Narkle, Jed McEntee, Dante Vicentini, Will Lorenz and Francis Evans. I could see the sub potentially being Lockie Jones or Jed McEntee or Quinton Narkle. Probably those three in particular. They're not really classic relevant, but they're just a few options there. If we move swiftly forward to the Tigers and the Giants, here we go. Dion Prestia, Samson Ryan, Steely Green, James Trency or Trezize, and Thompson Dow. Seth Campbell's been managed. Kane McAuliffe is omitted, which would be frustrating for people who have him still in Supercoach. This is one I'm just genuinely considering. I don't know if anyone else is considering it, but if we scroll down, Toby Nankervis against Kieran Briggs. Nank's had a huge run in Supercoach this year, very underrated. Ruckman could go big against Briggs because he gives up a lot of ruck points. For the Giants, Lockie Ash, Xavier O'Halloran and Jacob Weir are in, no outs. Looking at the interchange bench, I could probably see the sub just based off that being Sam Banks, Thompson Dio is my bet. Looking at the Giants lineup, probably would be Harvey Thomas or Toby McMullen, maybe Jacob Ware, probably one of those three I'd say. And the last game here, which would be interesting because I want to see if McGovern's name, I don't think he is. Yeah, didn't think so. Which is frustrating for me because I've got to flip things around. Yeah, Harry Edwards, Luke Edwards, Zane True, Ryan Marich, Jai Cully all in. McGovern's obviously injured with those ribs. Campbell Chester omitted. Darrow Joyce in, Dev Robertson, Jackson Pride, Darcy Fort, Shadu Brain, and Jack Payne and Brandon Starcevich both injured, which is a big hit for the small defenders in regards to Starcevich. Yeah, frustrating for Gov owners. I think the final question before we move on to my Supercoach team is, Nate, is if you had Gov, I would suggest, there's obviously two types of owners here, one being if you've got cover and one if you don't have cover. With your kind of medical knowledge, what is your thoughts on crack ribs, whatever he had in that situation where he struggled to get back to Melbourne on the plane? I know that he was potentially driving down because he wanted to see Simo's last game. Would you trade regardless? Would this be a rank dependent thing? If you don't have cover, is it an immediate trade out? Is there risk that he misses more, or do you think it's simply just a 1 weeker based off what's been said in the injury report? What are your thoughts on that?
Again, if you're top 100, you just have to trade him out. I know it's tough because you've probably got Gordon as well, given that I think he's the highest rated or second highest rated ruckman. But you just got to trade him out because, as I said, you're there in the top 100. You might never get the opportunity again, so you might just as well as try and do the best that you can. For everyone else, I would say most bruised ribs normally take about a week to settle down.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd be surprised if he missed the following week. Given that I think most players now, if there's any slight concern with it, they can wear padding on their chest to help protect those ribs. But if they're still bruised, then obviously you can't run at full capacity.
Yeah.
But if they're recovered, but there's still a risk of them getting bruised again, well, you can just wear the padding. I think Scott Pendlebury did this last year or a few years ago when he had some broken or bruised ribs. He wore padding for about sort of a month afterwards.
Yeah.
And it just provides a little bit of extra protection in case you do get hit in that rib area again. So I'd be surprised that if he's symptom free and he can run the training, that if he'd be playing next week, he'd just be wearing the padding. So
Yeah, it's fair enough. I could see him just missing the 1 week. And I don't think we've had issues with, people with rib issues in the past, and it hasn't impacted them. But as I said, if you're competing in a high rank, I'd suggest, potential trades might be the option, especially with ribs. You don't know how they come back and can be quite uncomfortable, and especially in a role where your govern's taking intercept marks, going for contest, maybe he shies away from it for a couple of weeks just to protect a little bit. But it's also on the flip side, you could just rest him on ice because obviously West Coast isn't going anywhere too soon. But moving forward to my trades, I don't know why this isn't working. I might have just... Yeah.
The appeals board are now deliberating on Isaac Heaney. So hopefully they don't take too long to get back to us.
Yep.
But I'll refer to what I said earlier on for those who are just joining. That based on what's being presented, I can't see him getting off. But the longer that they take to deliberate with these, generally it's a higher probability that he's going to get off. Normally, if it's a quick turnaround, it normally means it's probably being dismissed. We're just in the hands now of the appeals board. So hopefully, we'll know in the next couple of hours what's going on there. But yeah, as I said, if you're just joining, I would probably plan for him to not be there. But I'm not in the board. I'm not there, so I can't definitively say that. But sorry, I'll let you continue.
Yeah, it's all good. So I don't know why it's not letting me get to my Supercoach team. That's okay, I can verbally say it. And Nath, you can kind of provide some feedback. Obviously, you would have seen my team in last week's stream. I ended up trading in Caudle and Colby McKercher as a bit of a risk to get the cash grab from McKercher, which obviously worked very nicely, which was quite satisfying because it was a risk at about just under 370, and he went nuts. So 134, which is nice. Caudle went also 134, so 2 big wins, which made my round rank not too bad. I've got 3 trades left with 140k in the bank. Look, I'm looking at a couple trades here at the moment just on my screen. Maxi Gorn is a tough one because Duconning was probably my trade in option, but I don't like it obviously with Pitney back in. It's not worthwhile. I've got a couple options I want to throw to you, Nathan. You can kind of give me your 2 cents worth. So my first option is punting Gorn. Just going to do it here. I've got plenty of money in the bank, that's no problem. I would probably go Nank just for the sake of it, because he's got a very good matchup. I don't know if you've seen on Twitter, we posted a kind of ruck run home, or the next 5, and Nank was up there in kind of the best ruck run home. I'd trade him out, that gave me 92k. McGovern would be also out, and I would potentially option 1 be Jack Sinclair and just pay up, which would mean I'm done with 1 trade left. What the risk of that is McCurch is playing as my M8, Dacos is my in the midfield. So it basically is restricting any chance of any other midfielders. So that's option 1, Nath. Option 2 is keep Nank, trade McGovern out. Let me just do the maths here. For probably... Hey? No. Trade Gorn out. So keep that Gorn Nank trade out. Gov goes out, and in comes Tom Stewart. And then I've got 155k in the bank, and that's purely for a mid upgrade. So keep Dacos in the defence. So keep Dacos in the mids. You got Tom Stewart as a bit of a cheapie. And then I've got 155k to play with regards to upgrading McCurch if he bottoms out. If he not bottoms out, if he maxes out in cash and he's struggling, or bringing a cheap, like a risky, 3 to 400k random player as an option for an M9 D7 swing. That's option 2. Option 3 would be same thing, Gorn to Nank. Dacos, trade McGovern. Dacos is swung into the defence, so that means my defence is full up now. Gives me 646,000 to play with. I would probably want to bring in 2 options. I would either bring in Josh Dunkley and have 15k, again that'd be my team done, but with Dunks in the midfield, or I'd obviously be late to the party, but bringing in Connor Rosie at for 90k. If I can find him. Rosie is not existing anymore. That's a bit annoying. Oh, hold up. That's why. Rosie is 495k. So again, will be giving me 151k to play with. Similar to the Stewart option, but having Rosie in the midfield. And I guess my final option is holding Gorn, swinging Jackson into the forward line, and simply just trading McGovern out, because I don't have really cover for him at all. What's your thoughts on that? So obviously, if we dumb it down, trading out Gorn and Gov and leaving me with 1 trade left with one of those options, or just keeping Gorn, and covering it with Jackson. You know he's going to score. Jackson's going to score well for 1 week. However, we just don't know the kind of diagnosis with Gorney's injury. But Govern out, and that basically means I can afford any one of what I've said beforehand, just using that 1 trade. What are your thoughts, Nath?
Yeah. So I think just looking at your side here, which I've got up on my screen here, obviously I can't see Thomas's trade or not. But I think if you can get Nick Dacos into the back line, that's probably your number 1 thing to do. So if there's anything you can do to get Dacos into the back line, I'd probably look at that. And I think you've got your heart set on Sinclair, so I think you've probably got to bring Sinclair in, to be honest with you. I don't think you can be a St Kilda supporter and not pick him.
Yeah.
But I think the option for you, I know you're probably going to end up going the option that brings in Jack Sinclair. So, I mean, it's a bit of a tough spot. But yeah, I think if I was in your spot, I think I'd be just moving Jackson up into the rucks this week at least.
Yeah.
And just doing that. And then just seeing what happens with the forward line. I mean, you've got Kruger. I mean, he's a body. He's a warm body. It's not like he's not playing. So I think you're just going to have to cop that for this week. But yeah, so I would be moving Dacos into the back line and probably getting in Sinclair.
Nah, understandable. It'd be interesting to see what happens because, obviously I love Sinclair and all that. He is bloody expensive though. 630 is a hefty price to pay. That's for sure. It's one look, I've seen there done that with regards to paying up for premiums which at a ridiculous price. Look, I bought Merritt at 600 plus, I bought Sarong at 600 plus, I bought Luke Ryan at close to 600, so I've definitely used up my kind of 600 plus availability. So yeah, paying, as much as I like Sinclair, it's a tough pill to swallow when it comes to paying up for those premiums. And as much as I like Sinclair, he's the number one tag option down there. If opposition players have half a brain, you probably tag him. Looking forward to the weekend with regards to who I'm looking towards. Look, I think where I'm ranked, I don't know if it's showing up on your screen, but I'm ranked, if I just get... There you go, 1,968. So I probably do have to make a move with regards to some pods if I really do want to push hard, because if you go safe, it's kind of, that's all she wrote. You're not going to go anywhere. It's either now or never, really, in that situation. So that kind of leans me towards Nank. As I said, he's probably got the friendliest ruck run to go, unless there's a niggle injury, something like that. Just bring it up. We posted on Twitter, but he's got Briggs where he should dominate. Then he's got Port, which is sweet, should do well there. Got your boys afterwards, so Darcy Cameron. D-Cam gives up a lot of points, just purely size-based. North's probably a tough one where he kind of evens out. Then he plays St Kilda. Marshall gives up a lot of points regardless. Plays the Hawks against Meek, which is about a 50-50, but again, Hawks give up a lot of ruck points. And then the last game of the season plays Gold Coast, so if Wicks is back in time, then it'd be a tough one, but he plays Ned Moyle if that's the case. I know Witts is a pretty bad injury in regards to the back region, so could easily be a situation where he gets put on ice the rest of the season. And he could verse a Moyle in round 24, which would be a big win. I don't know if that's after Supercoach finals, but yeah, he's one I'm looking towards, and I think I want to look for value elsewhere. So Stewart and DeConning is something I really like. It's unique. It's different. It gives me money to play with, which is a big thing. I think I'd rather have the big sum of money with one trade left. Obviously, if I just traded out McGovern, I'm happy to get Sinclair. I've got two trades to facilitate a 1 up, 1 down. Having said that, Corny didn't look great from what I heard on social media with regards to coming out on crutches. Pretty much could barely walk. I know he says he's aiming for 1 week. The D's obviously need him to be that case, but the fact that the matter is, I think it's probably more a 2 to 3 week injury. And if I use the 2 trades on Gov and Gorn, it'd be a make or break, but I think if I can facilitate something that works, it gives me about 150k left. I can easily trade off McKercher once he kind of slows down, or if he doesn't slow down, then great. Or once these rookies really maybe get anywhere between to 300k if possible, I've got another 150k to work with to get a fallen premium who've dropped down to 450 as a bit of cover as well. So yeah, it'd be definitely, I know for a lot of super coaches out there, a make or break weekend. I know I was talking to Janeth from the Supercoach Saw Players. Shout out to him. I know our recording didn't go to plan, but we'll get that re-recorded next week or at the end of this week. But he was saying as well, it's one of those weekends that could really make or break a lot of teams in that top 1k or higher, and those outside, if they make the right moves, can definitely skyrocket into that top 1k, that's for sure, especially if you've got trades remaining. But before we wrap it up tonight, is there any parting words, Nathan, you want to give out, either from an AFL perspective or from a draft perspective as well?
No.
Good luck. That's short and sweet. I think he's used up all his energy from his rant from earlier in the week. But yeah, good luck with everyone's teams. Those of you who were kind enough to purchase a box break, we'll get that sent out to you ASAP. I've started putting them in sleeves and things like that just to get the cards protected. As I said, they will be posted out by lettered postage with some bubble wrap. If you do want tracking postage or anything like that, please hit me up and let me know, because that'll come from your costs as well if you want it tracked. But other than that, enjoy the footy this weekend. I know Geelong and the Pies will be a very good game to watch, and then hopefully your Supercoach team survives the rest of the weekend. Other than that, we'll be back for our round review next week.